Welcome to the podcast of the impossible. I'm Peter Wood, and my guest today is the creator and star of The Good Liar, currently appearing at the Capitol Hilton in Washington, D.C. It's Brian Curry. Oh, shoot, I forgot. I meant to say my guest today is I was going to have the Spice Girls, but they weren't available, so I invited my number one Spice guy, Brian Curry.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Do you get Curry jokes ever? I get all sorts of jokes with my name.
I can't even imagine what your jokes are.
Yeah.
No, not really. I mean, I've got booked for one gig where I was the only person who wasn't Indian.
Okay.
I wonder if maybe I was, but
That's fascinating.
no, I really don't get too many jokes.
Okay.
I had people take pictures of like a Curry sign and text it to me like, "Hey, I'm in front of you."
Yeah.
But
Okay. Gotcha.
that's about it. Nothing too bad.
Okay. Yeah.
Luckily.
No, I subscribe to Wood
Curry's-
magazine.
Oh, do you? Oh, I bet
do.
that is.
And thankfully I actually get something out of it because I also enjoy building things out of wood, but I think I might subscribe even if I was an accountant, just because it's just for the performance art of having Wood magazine show up once a month or whatever.
I can't even imagine what your middle school was like. I mean, Curry's my middle name, so I didn't get
true. That's true.
School. So Klosky's my real last name.
Sure.
I go by my middle name because no one can remember it. So
right.
Wood, if my in middle school, my last name was Wood, I would have a lot. I hope you were tall and strong, and so nobody messed.
I guess thankfully I was always tall for my age. So that worked out well. But no, and I also the joke is always like, yeah, everything was great until middle school. I was right in that pocket of popularity where I was I would say of average popularity, right? Like not so popular that and excelling at everything that people wanted to knock me down, but also not so unpopular and below average and under the radar that they wanted to kick me down further, if that makes sense.
Right.
And so and thankfully the magic thing always overshadowed whatever I was doing. That was always the patina of what I was up to, and because that was my claim to fame, that I did not actually have a rough experience growing up in public school. So, that's, I'm very fortunate, I guess, about that.
I'm guessing that more than you hear bad jokes about your name, you hear people ask you if you've gotten bad jokes about your name.
I think so. Yeah. And there will be, occasionally I'll be like at a party and like, if my business card comes out, and they, if they either haven't been introduced to me or my whole name, then there might be a giggle or a laugh. But then again, like I'm happy to own it. And back to the, there was what? I could change my name, if I wanted to, but if you're looking at the showbiz rules of easy to pronounce, easy to remember, easy to spell, my given name still ticks all those boxes. And even if you're remembering it for potentially off-color, off-brand reasons, you're still remembering it. So, I'm not, it's not, and if anything, man, do you know how salacious that would be if it was like, okay, I know he goes by, David Kotkin. That'll be my stage name. But according to Wikipedia, check out what his real name is, but if I just sort of own it, be like, yeah, I don't know. Sorry. Yeah, here we are. Then it's all good. So, so we had a really cool experience that we are finally allowed to talk about, now that my thing has aired. Yeah. We got to go do Penn and Teller Fool Us together, in May. And I wanted, I've put some stuff out there about sort of my behind the scenes process of that, but I kind of wanted to hear a little bit from you about sort of, the ramp up to getting, accepted for it. And then you and I were very much sort of working together on both of our things throughout the whole process, literally up until we recorded our on stage segments on the same day,
Yeah. And then we flew back.
And then we flew out and we flew back to. I mean, we've traveled together, and thankfully they got us 2 hotel rooms. Just we didn't have to share a queen size bed. But so yeah. So what was the sort of journey for you to get on Fool Us?
Well, I for a few years sent videos to the producers, and I did everything that they asked. You know, do a video of the whole routine and give me your script and all. And I wrote a long list of, hey, on TV we could do X, Y, and Z.
Mm-hmm.
I did that for a couple years, and it seemed like every year I got close. I would usually end up talking to the producers at some point, and they would hem and haw over it, and they'll, well, can you do it like this? And no, I can't, or maybe I can.
Right.
And then it never really worked out. And usually it would be something like, all right, well, hey, next year we want to get you. Make sure you come up with something new for next year. And so I just kept not getting it. So I didn't actually audition for this season that I got on at first. I didn't, and I got a call from them like, hey, Brian, where's your video this year?
Oh, wow.
And I was like, I don't know. Give me a day. I'll email you in like a day or two.
We've got nothing to make fun of. We look forward to rejecting you every year. Where were you?
Yeah, we're like, you're our low bar.
Yeah.
Like, everyone needs to go higher than Brian on this.
That's so nice of them, though. That's very cool.
And truthfully, it was in my December. This is in December. And I was like, in my busy season. And I didn't think they were going to accept me anyway. So I kind of just resent them some footage of routines that I had done in my show with nothing extra. And they didn't really respond. I mean, they said, okay, well, we'll let you know. And then it went till, I think it was January, February. And I think it was Mike Close was posting online, hey, there's only 2 weeks left to audition. And I was thinking, well, I guess this wasn't for me either. But then I had an idea. I said, what if I do the opposite of what I've always done? I like routines that are big and full with lots of climaxes. What if I do a routine that's really crystal clear, one trick? And instead of sending them a video of the whole thing, I'm going to try to write them an email, 4 sentences or less. And that's it. Let's just, look, they can't, I'm already getting turned down.
Yeah.
All I can do is get turned down again. So I had this idea of a visual, because I don't look, you go on TV, you look like $1 million, right? You're arm candy for the TV, and that you're a silver fox.
I mean, more because I have stuff, but yeah, sure.
You also look good on TV. I realize that I don't really look good on. I don't meet any of their demographic. They're not looking for balding, middle-aged, overweight white dudes. That's just not who they're trying to get.
Okay.
So I was like, what interesting visual as a fake mind reader could I do? And so I had this idea of a giant thought bubble over Penn's head, and I climb a ladder, and that would make the trick look big, and it would be a big open prediction, which I haven't seen a lot of in the show. And so I wrote, and I was like, okay, but what would he think of that people would care about? And I had, the only thing I could come up with is, I want to know what he thinks of Teller.
Right.
Because, I don't know. I have no idea. I mean, they get along so great on stage, and they sound like but I would love to know the answer to that question anyway. So that was my premise. What do you think of Teller? I would go up, I write it, and I was able to put that into 4 sentences, and I had a friend draw a picture of me climbing a ladder, drawing over his head, and Penn standing there. And that was it. Right. I didn't send them any of the stuff that they normally want.
Sure.
And they're like, oh, no, that's a really neat idea, Brian. Well, but we're going to need a video. And in my head, I was like, I'm like, yeah, I do that for you every time. But okay, fine, I'll make a video. And so this time I made a video, and instead of actually trying to get an actual performance, I just did one in my living room, and I was talking to Air, and I photoshopped in Penn.
Okay.
And I used clips from the show to fake it. So I would say something to Penn, and it would be a clip of him responding to someone else, but it looked appropriate. Okay. And my daughter played Allison. And my daughter, fabulous. I mean, she was the best part. I say some horrible things sometimes, and she looks at the camera with a scared look. She was just perfect at acting. Right. And so she was my 7-year-old. So I sent them that, but no script. And they go, wow, your daughter makes a great Allison. Brian, we really need that script. Yeah. And I was like, okay. So I just slow rolled them. Not like, I wasn't intentionally trying to, I wasn't trying to be difficult.
Yeah, sure.
At the same time, I didn't think they were going to say yes. So I wasn't eager to do all this extra work when I was like, well, they're just going to say no again. So then I typed up a script and I sent it to them. And then I got that email saying we're going to do it. And you were one of the first calls I made because I needed big thought bubbles made. and I don't know how to make that. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, Peter could make anything. So
Right. Right.
you were literally, other than my wife, I think
Yeah.
you were the like my next call. Like,
Nice.
Peter, I got to make these thought bubbles. Can you help me do it? Because I don't know how to do it.
Awesome.
And
Awesome.
of course, it didn't occur to me that Penn and Teller have a whole crew of people who can build anything,
Sure.
literally anything.
Sure.
So, so yeah, that was the getting the notice,
That's
and that
cool.
was super exciting.
Yeah. 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 No,
And then the next,
and then
was pre-show video, and
Right.
you and I both. That's something where you and I agree. Like when I watch the show, I like pre-show videos that are more than in front of a green screen.
Sure.
Those are my favorite.
Yep.
I thought your pre-show video the first year was as good as I've seen them. Everything looks great. It looks like you've got this cool background.
Right.
And you were able to do it at your own pace, at your own speed. You were able to do the edits and send them the good material. And
Yep.
I thought that was best. So I thought I'm gonna send them some stuff and hope they use it. So that's when I took a bunch of shots in front of me in the monument, a fake monument, and at the end I pick up the monument and walk off, and a bunch of other silly jokes that I thought were funny, but I couldn't do in studio.
Right. Yeah.
Although one thing from the studio I thought was pretty great. I had this idea and I didn't really think it all the way through, because they like what I think they call hero shots.
Okay.
They're like magicians standing there and it zooms in and he's holding his wand, and
yeah. Okay.
silly shots. They're not my favorite, but as a mentalist, I particularly don't like them. I don't like the whole, all this garbage that we have to do.
Mentalist
So
is
my
a headache,
Yes. So that's exactly my joke. So what I did is I brought a 7-Eleven cup with me.
Okay.
And I was like, what if I'm doing this face, and then it zooms out and you see I'm holding a Slurpee cup and I take another sip. I go, and so I brought two 7-Eleven cups with me across the country. And I was like, I don't know if this is, and he goes, yeah, that's a good idea. He goes, we can't have 7-Eleven in the cup. He goes, can you come back tomorrow at 9? And so between, let's say, 3:00 and 9 in the next morning, with everything going on. Now, we filmed on the first day of shooting.
Right.
It was like chaos. But somehow their props team, they found the exact colors of the 7-Eleven cup. They whited out the 7-Eleven logo. They painted in stripes to match the other design.
Wow.
And then they put in a fake Slurpee that looks like a real Slurpee inside of the cup.
Okay.
All in the middle of all the other more important stuff. Dang. Just so that I could try that one joke. And so a joke that I didn't know if it was going to make the trail or not. So
that's so funny. Do you still have the cup, or did it stay there? Do you remember?
It stayed there. I did not bring it.
Yeah. No, that's a tough, especially when once it has fake Slurpee in there.
Yeah, it had goo in there and stuff. But, but it was great. So I cannot say, and I know you agree with me on this, everyone I worked with at Foolus was the best of that person, that type of person I've ever worked with.
Yeah.
The producers, when we sat down and we did a critique with Mike Close. Effing Mike Close was there. How cool is that?
Sure.
So like every comment they said, I was like, wow, that's right. And that's right. It's so rare to get such smart feedback, and everyone in the room is that much smarter than you.
Yeah.
And working with Mike Close was a dream. My my segment producer was awesome. The video guy, he fooled me. Like, he comes in and he just chats with me for a while, and we banter so well.
Right.
And we're just joking, and I'm literally laughing while he's setting up his cameras. And it didn't even occur to me till later. That's his game. Yeah. I felt totally comfortable with him.
Sure.
Because he got me laughing.
Yeah.
And I felt like we were buddies. And all of a sudden, I wasn't so uncomfortable behind the camera.
Yeah.
And that's how good these guys are. They tricked me. It was great.
Right. Well, and I don't think, I mean, that's an unintended, I mean, that's a good benefit, but also just genuinely nice people. Like there does not seem to be a jerk on the whole team. Like everyone there. Yeah. And
everyone wants you to be good.
Yeah.
And that is such a cool feeling. It really does feel like a team, all with the same purpose.
And it has ruined me for any other television. Like my concern now is that I have had two big production national TV experiences, but both were with a lot of the same people and with the same care and attention to detail and concern from me and how I came across on this crazy platform. And from what I understand, that is very rare and doesn't happen in most
Normal.
other. Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah. Well, and I was very excited when, I was, invited to come back. But then because this was all happening concurrent with you, I still remember when I said to my wife, man, how cool would it be if Brian and I both got on the show this season, and we were like, let's not even talk about it. Like there's
Don't do
no,
it to your
it's
own.
not going to
Yeah.
happen. It's not going to happen. It's not,
Yeah.
and then not when there was that reality of like, oh, wow, like, okay, this might happen. And then like, as soon as it was confirmed for both of us, I am reaching
Yeah.
out to
It was
the,
amazing.
and I didn't even ask you. I just
Oh, no.
assumed that you would want to hang out with me. So I'm really glad
Yes.
that you did, because literally before checking with you, all I did was just, I guess I forget exactly. I think you were confirmed first and then me, but I'm not entirely. Anyway, the point is, as soon as I knew for sure,
Yeah. Yeah.
I was able to reach out to one of the producers who was helping with the scheduling and the travel logistics, and just said, hey, just so you know, my buddy
Mhm.
Brian Curry also has been accepted, and we're coming from the same neck of the woods. It would be really awesome if we were able to be on the same schedule. And
Right.
she got right back and seemed genuinely excited that both of us would have a buddy, and was like, yeah, it's early enough. I think we can make that happen.
Yeah.
And that
Well,
was
I think
great.
foolish should consider doing it anyway, even with strangers. And the reason is
Yeah.
I would have spent that whole plane ride there being nervous.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I would have just been nervous the entire time. Nothing, no other emotion, but terrified, running my script, just getting scared. Instead, I got to hang out with you.
It was great.
I don't. I mean, I don't. I don't think we ever ran through our acts on the plane. I mean, we ran our acts when we were there, but not
Yeah.
on the. We just kind of like had fun and chatted, and it was a great trip. And then
Yeah.
the way home, we got to talk the whole time, and like it was like therapy for like, oh, this went well, this didn't go well. I like this, I didn't like this.
Sure.
It was fabulous. It
Yeah.
really. They should consider putting magicians on the same plane next to each other, just for emotional support
Yeah.
on this rather big deal thing that they're all doing.
What's that? There's the book, Everything I Need to Know I Learned in Kindergarten.
Yeah.
And the buddy system works for a reason, and so maybe they should consider that. Yeah, even
Right.
if it means you've got to fly to Denver, where you're not only going to transfer planes but also meet up with some random other person.
Yeah.
No, it was delightful. I mean, yeah, being able to get all of our travel happening at the exact same time, and then we weren't entirely sure the way it ended up shaking down. I was we both filmed on the first day of full production. But then the day before that was still like ramping up into production. And that was when we did our interview portions. So again, for our listener, that would be what they call the package or the story at the beginning of the sort of biography type thing. That was Brian and I sitting in front of, a green screen, separately, and doing the sort of interview chat thing, which also had been pretty much ironed out by the time we got there.
Right, for us. I don't think that's true for most guys.
Yeah, I don't know. It was true for me both times, but again, both of my times were under pseudo COVID experience. So I'm not sure. But it was nice to sort of have a hand in what we were going. The words that were coming out of our mouths were edited and influenced by our producer, but still came from us. It wasn't someone putting words into our mouth.
Right.
But then, so doing that on the day zero sort of, and then day one, the official day of acts actually on stage. And I was the fourth one of the day, and you were the eighth one of the day, the very last one. What we didn't even know at the time is that deep inside Teller's gut, COVID was brewing. And or maybe he caught it the next day. I don't know. But
thank goodness I didn't get a chance to talk to him.
Yeah, he totally would have given it to you. But no, come to find out, we only found out later that only about half or so of the acts, our fellow performers got a chance to be in the room with Teller
Mhm.
and an even smaller number. There was no. It was Teller either completely gone or via Zoom on some little monitor, kind of watching.
Mhm.
So we didn't realize how extra lucky that was in terms of being
Yeah.
on season 9 and being in the actual room with Teller was special.
Mhm.
But yeah, what a crazy, a wild experience. And
It
by the
was
time
insane.
folks are listening to this, you can go check out both of our clips. I'm sure they're floating around on the YouTubes. But certainly for both of us, I know a big part of why we wanted to do that was for the promotional,
Yeah.
more clips in the reel. And
Yeah.
I just when just having Allison Hannigan say, "Please welcome DC's most honest con man, Brian Curry." I was just like, "You're done. That's it. Like,
Yeah.
just walk away. Like, that's fantastic."
That was a last minute change too.
Oh
During
yeah.
the rehearsal, they mentioned it, funny man, comedy. Yeah, they had something else.
Okay.
And I was, any chance you could get her to say this?
Yeah. That's
And
great.
Donovan was like, I think so,
Yeah.
probably. And
Good.
so I had no idea, but when she announced it, I was like, okay, I can go home now.
Yes.
That's it.
That's amazing. The
That's
fact
what I
that you
wanted.
have that.
So,
Yeah. And I have now I have a matched pair. I've got
right.
Please Welcome Baltimore's Best, and I also have Please Welcome the Collector of the Impossible. So like I don't know, which one's my
Perfect.
favorite,
I
but
don't know. You got
very
to use them.
fortunate. It's gonna be good.
Well, I don't know about you. I was, of course, I was nervous, but
Mhm.
the overall sense I had before the show
Mm.
was just gratitude. It was
Yeah.
felt like I was living someone else's life for a day. I
Mhm.
was like, it's a mistake. I should not be on the show.
Yeah.
I'm definitely not qualified. It just felt like I never wanted to be a TV star. I never wanted to really be on TV. I mean,
Sure.
this is my favorite Magic TV show, period. And
Yeah.
so I auditioned for it because for that reason only. It's just such a good show.
Sure.
And I just felt this sense of like, oh my God, this is it for my career. I'm probably not going to do other big TV shows. I don't really have any interest in, and I
Yeah.
have a whole new respect now for how hard TV for guys who look good on TV.
Yeah.
Extra kudos now. Now that I've
Yep.
tried it,
Yeah.
it is hard. And when I watch clips now, and sometimes people are overly nervous and things don't go well,
Uh-huh.
there's a little part in my stomach that knots up because I know exactly how they feel. And I
Yep.
know that they might be amazing performers on a real stage.
Yeah.
But when you have 9 cameras on you
Mhm.
and Penn and
Mm.
Teller staring at your face, and Allison standing on the side, you just,
Yeah. Yeah.
crazy.
Well, and the only reason that I think you and I should both go back for another season is for the science of I never got a chance to do it with a live audience,
Me
and
neither. Yeah, that's right.
what I would be curious about is and I'm sure there are a handful of performers who were on with a live audience with an in-person audience, and then later were on during one of the now 3 COVID seasons that they've
Yeah.
taped. Um, I do wonder how much of that I had to sort of psych myself up to think about, okay, I'm just doing my job. I'm out here on stage. It happens to be a stage with only 3 people in the audience and they're celebrities. Oh my God. Okay. Nope. I'm just doing my
Yeah.
job,
Don't
but
freak out.
something about, I contend it would have been easier for us if there were a sea of people there, which is ironic as terrifying as that may feel to somebody who doesn't normally do that. That is what you and I are used to doing.
I totally agree.
And you would be
1,000.
able to then forget that there's Penn and Teller burning
Get to
whereas
listen. Yeah, you get to listen to the laughter and
sure.
all that stuff.
Yeah.
We would
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
to hear it, and it would be brilliant.
Sure.
It would be much. I would much prefer that any day of the week.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll have to see. I'm curious. We don't know how long the show's going for, and maybe at this point it's
Hopefully it
looking
keeps
like
going.
our daughters are going to be able just to do their own act on the show at some point if it keeps on trucking
Yeah.
along.
By the way, I have an act for my daughter. I think it would
Okay.
kill. I
Okay.
think my daughter, who's 7, should do a quick change act because every parent knows how long it takes kids to get dressed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Agony. And if a little girl can toss the thing up and come down and it's a totally different dress, like you look at your kid and like, you
True.
see, she can do it in 2 seconds. Go to your room right now. Put your shoes on.
But is there a pile of clothes under her afterwards? Because that's what I'm trying to make disappear.
And hula hoop, confetti.
It looks like a bunch of little, 7-year-old girls around my house have just been seized by the rapture, and the clothes are landed in piles all around the house. And so that's the other half of the trick. But show business is messy, so
that's right.
Well, for our friend who's listening in on the chat, if you happen to be anywhere near the DC area, either you are now or you're going to be visiting the area, I highly, highly recommend going and checking out Brian's show if you haven't already been persuaded with all the chats here. Again, so for tickets and for the schedule, you can go to agoodliar.com and then follow all Brian's social media adventures. That's going to be over at briancurrylies.com. And Brian's got not only some really great content in terms of what he's doing personally, but Brian is sort of setting himself up as the go-to guy for just knowing interesting things that are happening in and around the DC area. So even if you've seen Brian, or if you for whatever reason the schedule doesn't work out, still following on socials and getting on Brian's email list will let you know about other cool stuff that's happening in the area. So for right now, I think that's it. Thank you again, Brian. That is it for this episode of the podcast of The Impossible. But for more of my public shows and social media and special projects, you can head on over to oftheimpossible.com. I'm Peter Wood. Thanks.